I saw two things over the last few days. Number one, it's from Jesse Pollock from TSN. Patrick Laine has 1 goal and 3 assists in his last 16 games. Now, remember, he had like 6 goals in his first 10. And yesterday, Aaron Portzline of The Athletic wrote an article. The Blue Jackets attempts to make Patrick Laine a 200-foot player and a power forward aren't working.
Okay, so two things. I think the first thing is, and I'm not saying this is a good understanding of it, but what I kind of feel is they're trying to make him into a player that fits more of the Tortorella system than letting Laine play as the player that has made him so successful. That I kind of feel that you're trying to just, I think, like, okay, at this point, like when I read that, I kind of at a point now where I find with Columbus is that they've fallen in love too much with the quote unquote system of what works for them. That we're not gonna get the high flying scoring guys. We're gonna need guys who are responsible, but you don't try to do that in the middle of the season. You don't try to do that to a guy where you got him for what he was already, and that wasn't a power forward type of player. You gave up a power forward type of player for him, but
right,
you're not going to be able to change that on the fly.
You actually gave up 2 power forward type players to bring in 2. Well, I guess Max Domi's, I would say he's a playmaker, I guess, in a way, and a goal scorer. Like, you took Josh Anderson and Pierre-Luc Dubois out of this team and inserted Max Domi and Patrick Laine. Neither of those players are working right now. And it's not like they're bad players. I think last year Max Domi lost his job to Nick Suzuki and Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
It happens, yeah.
It happens. I don't like. At what point is it? I think there's blame to be served on both sides here. I think, yes, you know what? One of the important parts of being an NHL player now is the 200-foot game. I don't think you can just be the goal scorer. And I think Alexander Ovechkin is the perfect example of that. How many of his first seasons where it was just, I'm a goal scorer, I'm a goal scorer, I'm a goal scorer. That's what it was. And that was under, for a portion, that was under Barry Trotz's system. But he changed, right? He added that different element to his game. So I think in that point, yes, Patrick Laine does have to change a little bit here. Like, it can't all be goals. Look at Austin Matthews, how over the last 2 years, his 200-foot game has changed. At the same time, your general manager just traded 2 power forwards to bring in more skill, and now you're telling me you're going to change these guys, or one of these guys, into a power forward? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because, again, like, this could really change depending on who the Blue Jackets are in the standings. But when I think about that system they've fallen in love with, it's also they've become accustomed to the guys they've had there already that have bought into the system so well that they expect anybody to kind of be there long term, or be there as a big piece to make that kind of adjustment. When I think about like an Oscar Bjorkstrand, or a Gustav Nyquist, or Cam Atkinson, these are Tortorella guys that, yeah, great, you fit the system, but these are guys you're not going to win a championship with. These are guys that you're not gonna build a contender with. They are guys that you could add to a contender, but they're not guys that are gonna carry your offense for you. I think now, honestly, they lost the trades in a way that, not saying that Laine is a worse player than Pierre-Luc Dubois, but it's like what you said, is just that they had guys already in place that fit the system so well. It's just they didn't know how to keep them. And again, it's like the Rick Nash situation. Rick Nash, a perfect guy that has played the Columbus system. Even if Tortorella wasn't there, that he was responsible with his two-way game, and he still put up 40 goals a season, and you still pushed him out. Like I just don't know what Columbus is trying to do because I admit I was a fan. I was a fan when they went out and they went all in, with Matt Duchene, Ryan Dzingel, but at this point it's just like they're just treading now. They're not trying to get to the next level kind of thing. It's just like, we're just trying to get through it.
And like if we go back and look at that Dubois Laine trade, I think looking at it now, and I know it's only been, it hasn't even been a full season, but the way things have gone, number one, if John Tortorella's coach next year for the Columbus Blue Jackets, I don't know if Patrick Laine is still there, but I could see Pierre-Luc Dubois being there past this contract. Like, I haven't heard a single bad thing come out of Winnipeg since he got there. And but the thing is, both teams got what they needed. Columbus needed scoring. Well, I mean, at the time we thought Patrick Laine, like, this is a guy who can score 30 goals in his sleep. And then Winnipeg needed a top six center. Pierre-Luc Dubois, here you go. And it's working really well for Winnipeg right now, and it's not working great for Columbus. And at the end of the day, I still think both sides, like, there's blame on both sides here. Laine needs clear, like, yeah, man, like, sorry, you need to play a little bit more 200-foot game. It's not just offense, offense, offense. But hey, you have a 40-goal potential. Like, this guy, we could be having discussions of this guy being up there for the Rocket Richard for the next how many years. Use him the way he should be used.
I completely agree. When you also mentioned the Alex Ovechkin adjustments, I could even say the same too, like Ilya Kovalchuk, where he really, for those years that he was with New Jersey, he bought into the Lou Lamoriello system. He bought into that Pierre DeBoer system, where that you have to really play a two-way game. You have to back check. You have to be responsible when you're not having the puck with you. Or another worst case scenario too is the Minnesota Wild, not this iteration, but the 2012, 2014 iteration, where they needed scoring. And what do? They get Danny Heatley. But again, you can't just say, like, I'm going to get a pure goal scorer and that's going to solve everything. It's just, again, it's the system again that it just didn't fit. And Heatley, he was already a bit older at that point, but he just didn't adjust at all either. And it's the same thing that I'm finding with Patrick Laine.
Right. Yeah. Like, I think it's easy to say, well, it's Patrick Laine's fault or it's John Tortorella's fault. But I don't think that's the case. I think there's blame to be put on both sides here, and to dig in and say, well, it's only one person's fault. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Before we move on, do you have anything else to add to this?
I think I'm just gonna be on the Columbus, like, again, Columbus watch, not on the Sabres watch, kind of like, oh, did they win or not, but just really see like what Columbus is gonna look at beyond this season, because they have to think about where they're gonna dedicate a lot of this money towards, or even when Max Domi is gonna need a new contract eventually. Like,
Right.
do they really have a good idea of who they are and what they're trying to build with that system?
It'll be, I mean, by the looks of it, not really. But, like, I think they need to decide, is Torts the guy moving forward?
Or is he worth it? Like, is he worth these narratives, these scenarios?
I mean, my guess is, I don't know if Jarmo Kekalainen's the type of guy to really care about the narrative in the media. I have a feeling most GMs aren't like that. But yeah, man, like, there is a cost associated with all these narratives eventually.